if y is equal to square root of x squared plus 1 minus square root of x squared minus 1 over the square root of x squared plus 1 plus square root of x squared minus 1, show that the derivative is equal to 2x minus 2x cubed over the square root of x to the power 4 minus 1. Okay, so let's get started. Now this function you see here is simply a function of radicals. That is to say, we will need to simply simplify this first before we differentiate. So what we'll do is, we're going to write this function y, which is equal to x squared plus 1. This is under a square root minus x squared minus 1, also under a square root. Then what you do from here is you divide with the square root of x squared plus 1, then plus square root of x squared minus 1. So what you do here is, you're going to multiply both the numerator and denominator by the conjugate of the denominator. So we'll say multiplied by, we're going to simply write over here. We now indicate the conjugate of the denominator, so it will be square root of x squared plus 1, then minus x squared minus 1 under the root. We do the same even down. Okay, so now we notice that before we write our function, we notice to say the numerator is in the form a minus b all squared. As you can see, these two are being multiplied. This is the first part of this which we have here, which also happens to be the same here. This is the same as that. And as you can see, even the signs are negative. That is to say, this which we have is being multiplied by itself twice, which is now presented in this manner. And if you have something like this algebraically, upon expanding, it simply gives us a squared, then we say minus 2 multiplied by the product of the 2a and b, then we add with b squared. So this is simply what you're supposed to note on the numerator. This which we have is being multiplied by itself twice. The signs are also the same. So since everything is the same, it means that this is in this form. And upon expanding it, this is what we obtain. Then if we come to the denominator, this first part is the first part we have here. The second part is the second part there, but the signs here are different. This is now where we simply have something of this sort. We have a minus b multiplied by a plus b. So if this is what you have, the end result here, as we know, this is difference of two squares. It means that we get the first part a, we'll have it squared. The second part b as well, negative squared as well. All right, so this is what we obtain. This part we have here is for the numerator. This second part is for the denominator. So now let's apply this which we have. So what we're going to do is, we'll say the first part, this one, we'll let it to be a, then minus, this will be b. And if this is our result, it will mean that we get the first part to have it squared. So we'll say that this will be square root of x squared plus 1 squared like this, as simply a substitute for a. Then we say minus, we say 2 multiplied by square root of a, which is x squared plus 1 multiplied by the square root of b. This one here is our b, which is x squared minus 1. So all these two are being multiplied by 2. Then we'll say, from what we have here, we'll add, and we'll say b squared, which is this part squared. So here we have square root of x squared minus 1 all squared. Then we say over Coming to the denominator here, as you can notice, it is in this form, just that we've started with the negative when it's a plus, then negative there. So it's the same result. That is to say, we'll simply say the first part a squared, which is this one, then minus b squared, which is that one. So here we're going to say square root of x squared plus 1, which is our a. This will be squared, minus square root of x squared minus 1, which is our b, also squared. All right, so this is what we have. So this which is here as our y further simplifies to this. So on this side we can write y. Okay, now we'll continue. So we say y is equal to, if you look at this first part here, you have this, whatever is in the square root is being squared, and square together with square roots will cancel. Hence we have x squared plus 1, then minus 2. From such, you understand that if I have square root of a times the square root of b, my result will come out to be square root of a times b inside the root. That is to say, since these are both having a square root, we'll just represent this using one single square root. Then we'll write the product of the two as it is being presented here. So say the first part, this one, x squared plus 1, it will multiply with the second part, x squared minus 1. Then you close like this. Okay, from here we'll come to the last part, which is the square goes with the square root. Then we have x squared minus 1. Then we'll say over here down on the denominator, the square will go with the square root. We'll have x squared plus 1, then minus. Now everything that comes after a negative will be represented using a bracket like this. We'll open parentheses, the square and the square root will go. We have x squared minus 1, then we close. All right, so we'll continue here. What we now have is y equal to x squared plus 1 minus 2. Then we say square root. Now if you look at what we have inside the root is simply x squared plus 1 multiplying x squared minus 1. The first part is the first part. The second part is the second part, positive, negative. And what you notice here is simply difference of two squares. So which means that the first part will be squared. We have x squared already. Then we'll use a square here. Then you say minus the second part, also 1 will also be squared. Then we add with x squared minus 1. Then we say over, this is x squared here, plus 1. Now distribute the negative with what is inside, you get negative x squared. Negative and negative gives us positive 1. Okay, so our y will now be equal to, so we can simply see that x squared and x squared are like terms. These two be added, you get 2x squared. This positive 1 and the negative 1 will cancel. Then we'll be left with negative 2 here. Inside the square root, you obtain x squared outside squared. So here the exponents will multiply, you get x to the power 4. Then minus 1 squared is simply 1. Then we'll divide with, here x squared is positive, this x squared is negative, so they'll cancel. One is positive and the other one is positive, so they'll give us 2 like this. From here, we'll have that our y will be equal to, we see that 2 is common, it will simply be factorized. Then inside brackets, you have x squared minus square root of x to the power 4 minus 1. Then we'll close. Then we divide by 2. From here, we notice to say y will be equal to, these 2 and that 2 cancel. Hence, we'll remain with x squared minus square root of x to the power 4 minus 1 like this. So with this that we have is y as a simplified function, or rather part of this which was presented at first. So this which we now have can easily be differentiated. Now before differentiating, we can simplify it one more step. So we say y will be equal to x squared minus, if there's a root presented like this, the same as saying what is inside the root, will indicate brackets, then raised to the power of half. Okay, now let's take the derivative of this which we have. So we'll say that our dy dx will be equal to, when differentiate x squared, we'll simply use the power rule, and this simply gives us 2x, then minus this which we have here is simply going to be differentiated. As you can see that this is a function contained in another function, so we use the chain rule. Now for the chain rule, what we'll do is this half here will come this side, okay, then we'll multiply what is inside, which is x to the power 4. Sorry, the 4 will drop this side. When we differentiate what is inside, we'll get 4x to the power 3, like this. Then we simply multiply with everything inside. So here we're simply using the chain rule. So write everything inside, which is x to the power 4 minus 1. Then this half, you subtract a 1, hence you get negative half. So you subtract a half, you say half minus 1, so it gives us this. So all this is based on the application of chain rule. Please make sure you watch some of our videos which we did on chain rule, so that you have a deeper understanding on what is happening here. So we continue. So our dy dx further simplifies to 2x. Now 2 will go 2 times into 4, hence you get 2x cubed, then multiplied by, now this which has a negative power, we'll use the laws of exponents. It will go down, you have x to the power 4 minus 1. Now the power becomes a positive half. Okay, so this will now become dy dx equal to 2x minus 2x cubed. You can say over x to the power 4 as 1, which we have here multiplied with this, so I get x to the power 4 minus 1 to the power half. Alright, so dy dx will now become 2x minus 2x to the power 3 over, so if the exponent is half, it is the same as saying square root, so say square root of x to the power 4 minus 1. And as we can see, we'll simply obtain the result which is required, and this therefore means that we've concluded our problem. Thank you, and please consider subscribing, sharing, and also liking all our videos. See you in the next discussion.